Hi, my name is Makinie, and I am on the behavioral health team at Renton Technical College. But today I'm going to talk about one of the community resources that I actually founded and am president of, and that is Deconstructing the Mental Health System, or DMHS. It is a 501c3 nonprofit. And I guess I'll talk a little bit about how I started this. In the process of obtaining and maintaining my license, as well as a series of like socio-political stuff that went on, and specifically for me, what was most triggering in initiating this was the murder of George Floyd by a former officer and convicted Derek Chauvin. This kind of brought me to the point of realizing that intervening in systemic racism, having to do specifically with mental health, was not something that should be done as an individual. So anything that I was doing within the organization by myself, not just RTC, but with my private practice and my former jobs in community mental health, doing that as a sole person wasn't enough. So I reached out to a few different groups on Facebook and asked if there was anybody interested in starting a group, like specifically talking about how the mental health system, like how ethics codes, how some of our rules, how our referral process, our case notes, all of that affects people of color negatively. And quite a few people responded. So after a few meetings, I decided to make the call and say, you know what, I think we need to get more organized. And what I'll do is I'll form a nonprofit, and then we'll come back as a group. And so this was kind of like a home base for people seeking space to talk about their services, specifically serving BIPOC community. In addition to that, we also have a Facebook group, and this is just for mental health professionals and organizations that serve BIPOC communities to kind of get together so we can support each other as well. So everything that I'm going to show you is with the intention of building economic equity and equality within the mental health system, as well as providing education and services. So when you go onto the DMHS page, this is the intro page, and you have the opportunity to read a little bit about the organization. You would click on find a therapist who is Black, Indigenous, or person of color. So that takes you to the BIPOC provider listing. So one of the things, a few things that we realized in our conversations is that a lot of provider lists are not free. So they're, you know, anywhere from $20 to $50 a month, average of $35. But in addition to that cost that adds up over the course of a year, when you're doing the search, some search engines only provide race or ethnicity. Other search engines ask what races you serve, so it doesn't identify the race of the therapist. And so we wanted to create something very specific for the BIPOC community. So this accomplishes a couple of things. The first thing is that this provider listing is free to BIPOC therapists. So all they have to do is click add listing, sign up, and they can put their information in. And then the second thing is this is free to access for people seeking counseling services. And so if you click, this isn't the website, this is just a picture of the website, but if you click on this, you can see the therapists, they list their ethnicity, their race, they list the populations that they serve, they list languages that they speak. We tried to add as many details as possible to basically make it as easy as possible to identify the therapist that you think will be more likely to help you. Sorry, that's my cat. The other thing that we did was we have an organizations we like page. And so I have either worked with some of these organizations or people that run the organizations, or I found them and I thought they would be great to be added to this page. And so I'll just kind of run through them really quick. And so Gathering Roots is a really good organization. They just got something like 10 acres of space so they can do events and retreats. But even before they had that land, they were doing a lot of wellness events, a lot of like Indigenous healing events. Seattle Green Book is awesome. This is the space that you want to go to for, I mean, it's a Black business directory. So like any kind of business that you're looking for, if you're trying to buy Black, they will have that information. I mean, from like restaurants to doctors, all kinds of stuff. Washington Therapy Fund. This is free counseling for people who identify as Black. This was founded in Washington State, and it's offered in Washington State and California. Sign up is based on funding, so I would just say check this website fairly often to see if funding is available. But again, free therapy for Black people. Because we're still building our provider list, what I also did was I went and I was like, who else is doing provider listings? So multicultural counselors is a really good space if you're looking for a counselor who identifies as BIPOC. And the listing is by ethnic group and language, ethnic group, race, and language. So that's a really good one. Guided Pathways Support. This organization, I believe, is run by mother and daughter, and they provide all kinds of information, webinars for families for mental health and substance use, and they have groups as well. DNKYM Co-op, I spelled it because I'm not sure how to pronounce it. They offer loans to Black-owned businesses. Mindful Moves is a mental health and wellness coach, and she offers guided meditation and like light yoga type movement for free every week. Black Action Coalition, if you are politically inclined and you're looking for a space to gather with others, I believe that they have protests like once a month or a couple of times a month, but they also provide healing spaces as well. And I think they recently had a fair, like a wellness fair. So they had different organizations like gather, I think this was in Seattle, to talk about different services that they provide. So this is a really good resource, and I think probably also connects to a lot of others as well. Surrendered Healing is a Asian and Pacific Islander-led organization, and they do spiritual healing and coaching. They're very lovely, and so I had requested to include them. The other thing that we're doing for economic equality is seeking different resources for free CEUs. And so I'm keeping my eye out, and we have a Facebook page called Dmhs Deconstructing the Mental Health System. And if you go to this page, you're going to see a list of free continuing education credit workshops that I've found that I posted there. It's public, anybody can access it. I'm trying to stay up to date with it. This was, I think these were probably the most recent ones. And if you're wondering how to find us, we do have a link tree. It's linktr.ee/DMHS, and it connects you to all of our stuff, to our social media, to the Facebook page that I mentioned, to the website I just reviewed, as well as the Facebook group that I mentioned at the intro of this presentation, which is for mental health professionals and or organizations that serve BIPOC to kind of gather. And this is how you can reach us and contact. I would probably be the person that responds if you end up reaching out to me. Okay, that is my part of the presentation. And I also have a guest here, Gerald Bradford. He is also here at Renton Technical College, and he has very last minute agreed to join this space. I wanted to just kind of ask Gerald if you wanted to talk a little bit about any of the initiatives that you have or services that BIPOC can benefit from. You have the floor.
Sure. Makinie, outstanding work on DMHS. I'm gonna have this tip to you.
Thank you.
The community is really going to benefit from those services. Let me see. I would like to talk to you a little bit about Seattle Peace and Safety. And this is our mission. Our mission is to create safe and healthy communities where families and individuals can thrive through self-empowerment. Seattle Peace and Safety serves the Black community and other marginalized populations in greater Puget Sound area. And we provide safety hubs, which include culturally competent wraparound services, mental health, employment, housing, and reentry services, while taking a holistic approach to serve the community. We have been, this Seattle Peace and Safety came to fruition maybe about 18 months ago when my nephew was killed in a shooting in Federal Way. It's my wife's uncle's son, so I guess that's a cousin or whatnot. But 19 years old and just senseless. And I do a lot of work in the community around justice involved folks, and I've always worked with the hardest people in the community, the most at risk folks. And this particular shooting impacted me so much because the shooter was a kid that played quarterback for me in Little League. And so this one hurt, and I've seen a lot of boys go to prison and die over the years, but this one really just affected me. And I was like, we have to do something. And what I was just thinking about is how we could just come together as a community in order to be able to affect the violence in the community and to be able to bring healing spaces. Part of the challenge that we have in our community is we don't work very well together, and it's siloed. And what I think my mission and the people that I brought into the space to support me, our mission has been to break down those silos and encourage healthy dialogue and promote relationships. And it's starting to work. There are a number of people that are being attracted to the space because of the energy, and that we're actually trying to do something as a community together in order to try to stop the violence and to be able to provide healing. We have a number of community providers at this time. We have over 25 local nonprofits that have signed up on our resource partners. And at the end of the day, we're only as good as our relationships. And being able to, and this is tipping my hat coming back to what you just provided with the Dmhs. It's so important to have culturally reflective services in order to be able to deal with our community. And unfortunately, the larger organizations usually have the lion's share of the resources as well as the connections to be able to serve our particular community. And sometimes those results are disastrous because the life experiences of the people that are serving do not match the folks that are actually coming to receive the help. So I guess that's a little bit about what we're doing.
Thank you. That's just amazing. And I love the fact that, when you started this, you were reaching out, and, you mentioned you have 25 organizations involved, and that's just going to benefit the community so much. There's a organization that you work with for youth as well, correct?
Yes, I have a nonprofit called Fresh Start, and we do transitional employment services to folks who are in transition. Most recently, we've done work with the YWCA Passage Point, which is working with single mothers, or actually not just single mothers, but single parents who are coming out of the justice system into a housing situation where they're able to be re-engaged with their children. And we provide our curriculum there really starts to unpack who they are as people, breaking down their values and their vices, understanding their social circles and how those social circles affect how they move. One of the sayings that we teach our participants is that the difference between eagles and pigeons. And so I will ask one of our, hey, what's an eagle? And they will describe that an eagle is majestic, it flies by itself, it's high in the air. And then I will ask, when was the last time you seen the eagle hanging with the pigeons? And it just starts to unlock folks to really who they are and their potential, and what you associate with. And at the end of the day, if you're an eagle, you need to run with other eagles. And so just being able to start unlocking little things like that in order just to get someone to really start to believing in themselves and really pursuing their talents and their gifts, which is a challenge in this society because if you don't make it the first time, people quit. But the challenge is to really get them to understand that winning is a process, and there's going to be multiple failures in order for you to be able to get to your ultimate goal. But who do you bring around you in order to, on that particular journey? And how I look at myself as someone who's on the path of that yellow brick road. I'm just one of the people trying to get you to where you're trying to get you to Oz, for instance, or whatnot. So um, ultimately, we introduce our participants to SMART goals, transition plans, and three-year transition planning. But what my gift is I'm able to, with my resources, be able to actually help plot out what those next steps are. And because my lane is education, I am constantly trying to push folks to education because I understand that education is the key. But the challenge is being able to get the young people bought into who they are at a young enough time, so they're not wasting time in the justice system or through prison. So we've done some work through diversion. Most recently, I do groups in the evening with young people who are impacted by who've been caught up in diversion through King County, and just out here trying to. Well, I guess my ultimate goal would be able to serve those through Seattle Peace and Safety Initiative. There are going to be a number of safety hubs that are going to be deployed throughout Seattle. And I would like to be able to work with, once they find Johnny or Marquez on the street and start to work with him, be able to provide these transitional services in order to start getting those young people to think past a job and looking towards careers. Hope that answered your question.
It does. Thank you. Only one more question, or I guess it's kind of two. If somebody was interested in contacting you about Seattle Peace and Safety or Fresh Start, what would be the best way to reach you?
Well, shoot, I have so many emails, but I just started a new one, geraldb.fresh.start @gmail.com. So I've been trying to, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. So
Yeah,
I got about 12 million emails.
I know how
That's the one you can reach me at.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Gerald. And also thank you, Renton Technical College, for giving us the opportunity to talk about our organizations. If you do have any questions, you know how to reach Gerald. And then you can reach DMHS at DMHS at DMHSUS.org. Thank you.